I'd like to call this meeting of your Newark City Council to order. Jennifer, please call the roll.
Mr. Rath?
Here.
Mr. Blake?
Here.
Mr. Bug?
Here.
Mr. Cost?
Here.
Mrs. Floyd? Here. Mr. Frazier?
Here.
Ms. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Lang?
Here.
Mr. Mangus?
Here.
Mr. Marmee?
Present.
We have all here or present this evening. If you please stand for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for living in this country where we have so many rights and freedoms and so many blessings. We ask that you be with our country as we are having some worldwide crises that are very, very serious. We ask that you be with our state government and with our local government. We ask that you be with us as we make decisions for the city of Newark, that you be with our employees as they go about the daily work of the community, especially as we head into the school year and with all the construction and all the problems it causes people. And we ask that you be with our citizens who have very little, who need your help. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Stewart. Next on the agenda this evening, we have caucus. That's the time for council to discuss anything pertinent to the agenda tonight. Do we have anything? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next, we need a motion to approve the minutes of our July 17th, 2017 meeting. Do I have one? Motion by Mr. Rath.
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. We have two appointments this evening. Normally on appointments, we discuss the folks that are getting appointed, but I think we'll let that go this evening. Our appointments are one, City Council to appoint Mr. Mangus to the Capital Improvement Committee, Personnel Committee, Street Committee, and Rules Committee, and Mr. Lang to the Capital Improvements Committee, Safety Committee, Personnel Committee, Economic Development Committee, Street Committee, and Rules Committee. Basically, we're appointing these folks because they have taken the place of councilmen that were on these committees. Mr. Marmee.
Yes, I believe we're going to make Mr. Frazier co-chaplain with Mrs. Floyd.
Yes, we are. We probably should just add that this evening, too, if we could.
Agreed.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Frazier?
That is just fine.
We're going to add Mr. Frazier as our chaplain along with Mrs. Floyd. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Thank you. Congratulations, folks.
Thank you.
Next, we have reports of standing committees, one from Finance, one from Service, and one from Capital Improvements. Without objection, those will be received and filed. Reports from city officials, we have two this evening, one from our auditor, Stephen Johnson, our operating report ending for the period ending July 31st, 2017, and Barb Jobs, our city tax administrator, our income tax revenue reports for the period ending July 15th, 2017. Without objection, those will be received and filed. Under communications tonight, we have one communication from Joseph and Shirley Reed, a letter opposing the ban on circuses in the city of Newark, and that is into file. That will also be received without objection. Next, this evening, we have comments from citizens. There are two places for citizens' comments. One is now and one is after the legislation. This is not a debate with council. This is just your opportunity to be heard. If anyone would like to speak this first section, if you raise your hand so I can acknowledge you. And then come on up and give us your name and address for the record.
Excuse me. Brian Middleman, 446 Mount Vernon Road, Newark, Ohio. I'm here about the East Main Street bike lane. It's saturated with glass. What happens is Owens Corning hauls glass from Arch Street to the plant, and there's so much glass on the bike lane that you can't even ride in it. It's ridiculous. So that's basically why I'm here. It's an ongoing problem. It's never been fixed. So that's why I'm here to let everybody know. Bike lane, it's a wonderful thing. Newark's the best place to ride bikes. I love Lincoln County. It's the best. But yeah, the bike lane was put in, for a purpose, and now it's so neglected that it's unrideable. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you say that was East Main Street?
The East Main Street bike lane, it's marked.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in this first section? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to go to ordinances on the second reading. 17-30. Jennifer.
Ordinance 17-30 by Mr. Marmee, Mr. Cost, Mrs. Floyd, Mr. Rath. An ordinance amending the position classification, pay range, and department authorization tables of the Department of Adult Probation by creating the classification of probation officer specialist and probation officer of adult probation, and setting the compensation therefore, and abolishing 3 probation officer 2 positions and 7 probation officer 1 positions.
You've heard the second reading of 17-30. What is your wish?
Mr. President,
Mr. Bub?
I'll move to adopt ordinance 17-30.
Motion by Mr. Bub, second by Mr. Marmee. Is there any discussion on 17-30? Seeing none, Jennifer, please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
17-30 passes 10-0. Next, we'll go to ordinances on the first reading, 17-32.
Ordinance 17-32 by Mr. Rath, Mr. Cost. An ordinance amending Chapter 1234.2 of the codified ordinances of the City of Newark, Ohio relative to the residency requirement of members of the Board of Zoning Adjustments/Appeals.
17-32.
Mr. President,
Mr. Rath.
make a motion to adopt 17-32.
Point of order.
Yeah, Jim, I'm thinking about that, thank you.
Do I have to?
I failed to mention this to you earlier, Mr. Rath. Because the emergency clause is not in there now, we should have a motion, and I know you want to add it in your
To
amendment,
waive the
but
two-day
because
reading
it's not in there procedurally, we should have a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule first.
Mr. President,
Mr.
I'd
Rath.
like to make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule.
Motion by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Marmee. Mr. Rath.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to amend the
Tell us why you want to waive the 2-day reading.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want to waive the 2-day reading rule because I want to have the motion amended and include the emergency clause at that time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rath. Jennifer, please call the roll, waive the 2-day reading rule.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall? Yes. Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
2-day reading rule has been waived, Mr. Rath.
Make a motion to amend.
Adopt.
No. Adopt first.
Adopt.
Okay. Make a motion to adopt 17-32.
Good call. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Mr. Rath.
Now I'd like to make a motion to amend 17-32.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Marmee.
Okay, I'd like to amend it to 17-32A. There's 3 changes on here. One is changing the term from 5 years to 4 years. I don't care how long the term is, but it should be consistent with the charter. The charter says 4 years. We changed it to 4 instead of 5. The other is changing the requirement instead of members. It is being changed to members, each of whom is either the owner of real property or the owner or operator of a business within the city of Newark, allowing them to have a vested interest. And then I would like to amend this also to declare an emergency. So this needs to be passed prior to the next scheduled meeting. In order to do that, we'd have to pass it as an emergency.
I believe the first 2 amendments are on 17-32A.
All 3 are.
All 3 are, okay. Okay, so we have a motion to amend by Mr. Rath, second by Mr. Marmee. Is there any? Mr. Sassen?
I second.
Mr. Lang.
Oh, I'm sorry, second by Mr. Lang. Mr. Sassen?
There's a clarification, because I'm not a very good typist, that needs to be made to what is before you as 17-32A. In the last section were appointment of members, 1234.02, where it mentions that the members, each of whom will be either the owner of real property or the owner or operator of a business within the city of Newark. I had crossed out the word citizens of Newark. That should read, or a citizen of Newark. That citizens of Newark part should not be crossed out. So the member, the intent of the committee was that the member should be either a citizen a person operating a business or a person owning a business. I mistakenly crossed out those words, citizen of Newark. Those should still be in there.
It was originally crossed out though, right?
Yeah, and it shouldn't be.
So, or citizens of Newark should be on
In the
there.
original 1732 it was, because the intent was to have it just be anyone. The committee amended it, so it can't be anyone. It has to be a citizen of Newark, a business owner, or a business operator. So that, I should have taken out that strike through of citizens of Newark. So it should read, owner or operator of a business within the city or citizens of Newark appointed by the mayor. So that strikeout should still.
And that will also be part of this amendment.
I think we'll open that up to discussion. During the committee, I don't believe we ever put a stipulation in there that they had to be a citizen of Newark.
That's why the word or is there.
Or.
That's
Or
not-
means you can be either a citizen or a business owner or a business operator. So if that's not in there, then a citizen of Newark is precluded from being on the BZA, and that's obviously not.
Like I said, I'd like to open it up to conversation. I personally have no problem with that,
Mr.
but
President.
Hang on, are you done, Mr. Sassen?
I suppose so.
Go ahead.
I'll wait.
Mr. Raff first, and then we'll go.
well, I've already stated, I just wanted to open it up for discussion. I personally have no problem with the issue of adding or citizen in Newark.
Mrs. Floyd?
Because if it doesn't say that, the way it reads, you either have to be an owner or an operator of a business in Newark. And
Or
that would
own
have-
property.
What?
Or own property.
It says each of whom is either the owner of real property or the owner or operator, right, but it doesn't mean just a regular citizen who would rent or whatever could be. And I think we're saying citizens can be. Just by being a citizen in Newark, you could be appointed to that. You don't have to own property.
Mr. Marmee?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. In a situation where, you know, whether you're renting a condo, renting an apartment, or renting a house, or anything like that, it would exclude those individuals, even though they're citizens of Newark and voters in Newark and everything else.
If we don't have that or citizen.
If you don't have that or.
Mr. Frazier?
Can we put or resident instead of citizen?
What's the difference?
What is the definition of citizen, I guess?
Person lives there.
City.
So wouldn't it be more clear if we put or resident instead of citizen? Because then you would have to get into the definition of what a citizen is.
You can really kind of split hairs, because then you have to get into the definition of what's a resident.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's a distinction without a difference.
yeah.
I would prefer the residency piece instead of the citizen piece personally. So that's just my personal.
Any other discussion on this?
Yeah.
Mr. Marmee?
I could actually argue the fact that I am a resident in the city of Newark, but I am not a citizen in Newark, because if my residency is Zanesville, Ohio, but yet I reside at OSU campus because I'm attending school there, then I am in fact differentiating. I am not a citizen of Newark, but I could reside in the city limits of Newark.
Mr. Raff?
Do we have any additional amendments being offered? If not, I'll call the question.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of calling the question, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
And
It's about 8-1. Mr. Sassen?
Can I ask what the question is?
yeah, exactly.
I believe it's to vote on it, is what he's
We
asking.
didn't,
what?
we didn't
The
vote on
amendment.
what?
The
He
amendment.
didn't make it clear whether or not he was including it.
I thought he did.
No.
Okay, let's, tell us what the amendment is, and then we'll regroup.
Okay, the amendment is to include declaring an emergency, to change the term from 5 years to 4, and to change the phrase to include members, each of whom is either the owner of real property or the owner or operator of the business within the city of Newark or a citizen of Newark, appointed by the mayor.
And let's, just for the heck of it, is there a second on that? Now that we have all this straight.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Floyd. Okay. Now we'll continue any discussion. Does anyone else have any discussion on this?
It's an amendment to change the name.
That's not an amendment. That's the original legislation.
It says zoning adjustment appeals. Not that we want this zoning adjustment.
And no, that's not part of the amendment. That's part of
We've got appeals crossed out under
the original
123401,
legislation.
and the word adjustment in its place. So from my point of view, we're changing the name.
That's not part of the amendment. That was contained in 17-32, the original. The amendment is what is before you as 17-32-A, and Mr. Rath's motion is to substitute -A for 17-32 with the additional amendment to correct my error to include the words "or a citizen of Newark" in section 1234.02. That's the motion to amend.
Any other discussion?
That sounds accurate to me.
Jennifer, please call the roll to vote on the amendment.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
17-32 has been amended. Now is there any discussion on 17-32 as amended? Seeing none, Jennifer, please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
17-32A as amended has passed.
Happy birthday.
Got all that news. Okay, resolutions on the first reading, 17-50.
Oh, indeed.
Resolution 17-50 by Mr. Marmee, Mr. Cost, Mrs. Floyd, Mr. Rath, a resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
17-50.
Mr. President.
Mr. Marmee.
I make a motion to waive the 2-day reading rule on resolution 17-50.
Tell me you don't want to amend it on top of that. Question to waive 2-day reading rule, Mr. Marmee, second by Mrs. Floyd. Mr. Marmee.
Yes, there's some termination payments that we need to pay out. We always expedite those, and some other bills that need to be paid immediately as they are due or past due.
Thank you, Mr. Marmee. Jennifer, please call the roll to waive the 2-day reading rule.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
2-day reading rule has been waived, Mr. Marmee.
Thank you, Mr. President. Make a motion to adopt resolution 17-50.
Motion to adopt by Mr. Marmee, second by Mrs. Floyd. Is there any other discussion on 17-50?
I need to recuse myself from voting on that.
I'm sorry.
I need to recuse myself from
Okay, you're
voting
gonna
on
abstain.
that because of the animal
Okay.
control.
Anyone else?
I will still be voting.
So do I not call her name?
Just call her name. She's going to say it's purpose. Do you want to tell us why? Or?
I had to step in. It's my involvement with the grant that we received, the $2,000 grant. I just think I should step down from that vote.
Jennifer, please call the roll.
Mr. Rath?
Hang on. Mr. Marmee.
Then I am going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion to separate that out so she can vote on the other legislation. That should be done. I mean, there's procedures with abstention. It's supposed to be mentioned in caucus.
Caucus, yes.
And then, there's other things. We always separate that out, so then you can vote on the other stuff. So if you're wishing to, I will make that amendment. If it's fine that you just abstain from the entire piece of legislation, then
Just the
that's...
one, if that's possible.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I wasn't thinking we were voting on that, so I was going to follow through
Okay,
on that later.
all right. Then
Mr. Marmee.
I'll make a motion to amend and to separate out Section 2 into a separate piece of legislation.
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Floyd. So we're going to vote on everything But section 2 in one piece, and then section 2 is in the second piece.
We have to vote on the amendment first.
Right. Any discussion on the amendment? Jennifer, please call the roll to vote on the amendment.
Mr. Raff?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
So we have separated 17-50 into section 1 and section 2. So let's discuss 17-50, section 1. Is there any discussion? Mr. Sassen?
There's actually 5 sections.
Yeah.
Piece of
We're just
legislation.
taking
It should
out
be-
Separated
section
into
2.
1, 3, 4, and 5 for
Yeah.
one vote,
Yeah,
and
Okay,
section
I'm
2
sorry.
for
Well,
the second.
when I said section 1, I meant all of that except for that. but
okay.
Yeah.
We will clarify that. Section 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Correct.
Correct.
It's already been made. It's already on the table.
Yeah. So section 1, 3, 4, and 5 is what we're discussing. Is there any discussion on that? Jennifer, please call the roll to vote on sections 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Mr. Raff?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
Sections 1, 3, 4, and 5 have passed. Now we'll do section 2. Mr. Marmee?
Point of order.
Yes.
Okay. It should actually be a separate piece, so we can call that 17-50A. Or it doesn't
Not as a
matter.
motion to separate the question. The motion to
Okay.
separate the question
That's fine.
stays as one piece of legislation, just gets 2 votes.
So it's already on the table? Okay. Thank you.
So we don't need to do anything else except discuss that and vote. Any discussion on 17-50, section 2?
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Marmee?
President. I think now Ms. Hall has something she needs to state.
Paul, would you like to say anything about section 2?
I just need, I don't feel like that I should be voting on that because of my involvement with the grant itself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's your point, to just say I abstained. I just wanted to make sure it was on the record. So.
Anyone else? Jennifer, please call the roll to vote.
Mr. Raff?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Abstain.
Recuse.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Abstain.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
17-50 passes 9 yes, 1 abstain. Okay, now we're going to move on to 17-51.
Resolution 17-51 by Mr. Cost, Mrs. Floyd, Mr. Marmee, Mr. Raff, a resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
17-51.
Mr. President, yeah, I'd like to move to waive the 2-day reading rule on 17-51.
Motion by Mr. Lang to waive the
Second.
2-day reading rule, second by Mr. Frazier. Mr. Lang.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. This is a donation we got from State Farm, and we need to waive the 2-day reading rule to move the funds over and keep the project on track to move the seal.
Thank you, Mr. Lang. Jennifer, please call the roll to waive the 2-day reading rule.
Mr. Raff?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub?
Yes.
Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
2-day reading rule has been waived. Mr. Lang.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt 17-51.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Lang. Second by Mr. Cost. Is there any discussion on 17-51? Seeing none, or Jennifer, I knew I was going to do that.
That's
Jennifer, please call the roll vote.
Mr. Raff?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Bub? Mr. Cost?
Yes.
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. Mangus?
Yes.
Mr. Marmee?
Yes.
17-51 passes 10-0. Next, we go on to 17-52 on the first reading.
Resolution 17-52 by Mr. Cost, Mrs. Floyd, Mr. Marmee, Mr. Raff, a resolution authorizing participation by the City of Newark in the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance.
17-52 will be held for 2 weeks for our second reading. And finally, this evening, we have 17-54.
Resolution 17-54 by Mr. Cost, Mrs. Floyd, Mr. Marmee, Mr. Raff, a resolution appropriating monies for current expenses of the municipal corporation.
And 17-54 will be held for 2 weeks for our second reading. And that concludes our legislation this evening. Thank you for your attention. Next, we have our second opportunity for comments from citizens. Again, this is not a debate with council. This is just your opportunity to be heard. Do we have anyone? Okay. Do we have anyone from the administration? Honorable Alder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll pass.
Thank you, Director Sassen. Mayor Hall.
I will pass tonight too.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rath.
I just want to say, Brian, thanks for coming into City Council. I don't know if you remember me or not. You and I used to work together a long time ago, and you were riding a bike everywhere then, and it looks to me like you're probably still riding a bike everywhere. So thanks for coming in. It's good to see you.
You too.
I'll call the Service Committee meeting, and with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Rath. Mr. Blake.
Thank you, Mr. President. This Saturday, the Works is having a fun event. It's called Hot Havana Nights. So I'm on the host committee for that event, and if you guys are in town, it should be a fun event to support our local museum. And I think the tickets are, well, I think they're sold out. So I guess if you didn't get your ticket now, then you're kind of out of luck. So, so if you are coming to the party, then maybe see some pictures on Facebook. But that's a fun way. It's a fun event. It's the second year that they're doing that, and hopefully you're in the loop to get a ticket. I don't know. But the second event I wanted to mention, which is open and free to the public, is Wednesday night is the March Against Child Abuse. With school starting up here shortly, next Wednesday at the Canal Market District, there's a group of citizens organizing to have a prayer vigil to advocate against child abuse. So if you're able to attend that, that'd be great. So that'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Mr. Bell.
I'll pass, thank you.
Mr. Cost.
I will pass, thank you.
Mrs. Floyd.
Just a couple things. Midland's got its fall lineup set for, so you might check the website. There are lots of good shows coming to downtown Newark, which is a good thing. And the final Friday for August for the Downtown Newark Association is a Kids Fest. Each business downtown is going to take a book that is provided by Kix Mix Bookstore downtown, and they're going to use that to create an activity at their store or business that kids can be involved in, like the Midland is showing the movie Book, which is available for people to see, and obviously their book is Peter Pan. But it should be a fun thing, and they're planning a lot of activities for kids downtown that will be free. There'll be bouncy houses and snow cones and popcorn and all kinds of things. So if you know of kids in your neighborhood or your kids or your grandkids, whatever, think about bringing them downtown on August 25th from 5 to 8. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Floyd. Mr. Frazier.
I feel like Jeremy's the only one that has tickets to that Havana thing. We have to get it from him directly.
You've got to be in the know.
So they went up $20 and get it from Jeremy. But no, when it comes to what's going on in the community, our HHCA, Historic Hudson Community Association, had a picnic a couple weekends ago, and it was really great to see the community come together, eat together, go visit a community garden together, and talk about what the future of Newark really holds. And I want to say thank you to the citizens of Newark for their patience with the construction, the rerouting, and despite of how big this effort really is, the patience that they continue to show and the resilience that they have and letting us make these major changes and have these obstacles in their day-to-day lives, but still allowing us to move forward. And also, I want to highlight the Licking County Players Club. My wife and I went to see Susical, the musical, and we were blown away by the young people's talent in our community. And it's phenomenal to see young people engaged and active and wanting to display the arts and want to display their talents. And so any organization like that, whether it's the Works or the Licking County Players Club or the library or the Newark High School Drama or orchestra or band, I really want to encourage everybody on council to try to attend those as much as they can and continue to do their volunteer activities throughout. And I see Newark moving in the right direction, and I just hope to continue that progress. With that,
Mr. Frazier. Ms. Hall.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to thank the gentleman for coming tonight and bringing the attention back to Arch Street. We've had some issues in the past, and I thought it had changed, so I'm glad you brought that back to us. We'll be talking to you after council. With That'll pass.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. Mr. Lang?
I'll pass.
Mr. Mangus?
I'd like to thank Service Director Rhodes for helping remedy a drainage issue at the corner of Granville Road and Sharon Valley Road in the past week or so, and with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Mangus. And Mr. Marmee?
Thank you, Mr. President. Need to call a Finance Committee meeting. I also just want to comment on all the different things that are going on in our community, in particular the items that are the construction that's making Newark more pleasant to the eyes. And the one that I really want to mention today is the Hostar over the new gate and entrance into Whitesfield. It just looks incredible. It's really neat, and I think that it's very attractive for folks that come in from out of town to watch athletic events at that facility. It looks very nice, and I think it represents Newark very well. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Mr. Marmee. It sure looks great, doesn't it? I'd like to thank Jennifer Bubb for sitting in tonight, our clerk who's on vacation. Our next committee meeting will be August the 14th at 5:30 here in the chambers, and our next full council meeting will be August 21st, 7 p.m., also here. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. We appreciate your coming and giving us your opinion. With that, all in favor? Motion carried.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.